Business from the City Council, and this will be City Council reports. Council Member Dibble.
Okay, we had the Regional Housing Authority meeting, what was it, about a week and a half ago. We're going to finalize the hiring process for the executive director. So that was the major discussion that we had, putting a contract together and so forth. So the meeting is actually tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have that final decision on the executive director and move forward. And then we'll go ahead and put our goals and priorities together with the regional housing. The other item, the Summer at City Hall program that we've launched. We actually had the orientation about a week and a half ago, and presented the program to the parents as well as the students who were interested. We are currently doing the interviews right now. We have some great students who have applied from vast majority socioeconomic groups. So we're looking forward to making that final decision by Friday or first part of next week. All the curriculum is put together and we're moving forward. So we're very, very excited. And I think that was it on my agenda.
All right, thank you very much. And moving on to Councilmember Dukes.
Couple items. Attended a homeless workshop with Sutter County supervisors last week to discuss homeless situation here in our community and looking at working together with Yuba County as a region and Marysville to deal with our homeless issues. There will be another workshop here in this chamber on June 3rd, and so we'll be moving that forward also. Attended the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency meeting last week. We approved the new 3-year budget. Attended the mosquito vector meeting last Thursday, gearing up for this year's season, going out and putting in briquettes and different things in the catch basins to deal with mosquitoes that have wintered over in our community. And then last Friday, attended the Economic Forum with Greater Sacramento at the Convention Center with Mr. Gale, and got an outlook on the economic future for our region. Had a number of different very interesting speakers there. And then just wanted to mention that tomorrow morning we will have the Peace Officers Memorial at the Police Department at 10 a.m. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving on to Councilmember Gill.
Like Councilmember Dukes already mentioned, we did have the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency meeting. One of the interesting things for going back to Washington, D.C. is always trying to lobby to get additional funds. And, we're trying to fix Laurel Avenue South, and that's about a $35 million project. That's not in the current budget. And one of the things we've been trying to do, push, and I think this last time we were back at Washington, D.C., it just so happens we happen to be at the right place at the right time. We keep telling them $35 million, and it has to make its way through the Senate, through the House, and the additional funding. And we did get an email this morning that the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee held a pre-award meeting, and it is being discussed in that bill at this point in time. So which means that funding is very, very possible to happen pretty quickly here now. And there's a very good possibility that we may be able to start work on the Laurel Avenue this year as well. So it just goes to show that, even though sometimes it's difficult to send elected officials back to Washington, D.C., but sometimes it's worth $35 million. So that's all I have to report at this point in time.
All right, thank you. And Vice Mayor Cleveland.
First of all, I'd like to mention the fact that we have been doing the interviews. Preet Tidball and I have been doing that. Man, some brilliant kids at these schools, and just wanting to spread their wings and learn a little bit about life. I remember back when I was in high school, I had no inkling about that, didn't care. And just the fact that these youth are actually thinking in that way is encouraging. One more interview tomorrow, and decisions will be made. I attended the Regional Water Authority meeting, and there's some interesting discussions regarding water supply, who's in a drought, who's not in a drought, and most of the discussion of who's not in a drought are cities and counties and water agencies north, I'll say, of Stockton, and saying, why are you implementing such severe restrictions on us? And some of them are just coming out and saying, we already have the numbers, we're not going to wait for you, we're going to reduce our own restrictions and stuff, and kind of, I don't know if they're actually doing it, but they're definitely saying that. And with some of those discussions, the state is actually looking at the idea of having a self-review and assessment of what water conservations will be implemented, applied by water agencies, localities, regions. Of course, they will retain the authority to say, according to their review, you're wrong. But they're actually looking at a non-one-size-fits-all situation, especially since they have difficulty arguing that we did get enough water up here for at least the 2-year period without going back into severe drought. So those parameters are being discussed, and we are expecting some reductions in some of the conservation, but we don't know where that is yet. They haven't said anything. I know a lot of that's being decided in the next few weeks. So more news will be coming out of that. We're still going to be in a technical drought, but not in the urgent or severe that it has been. Other than that, Gilsizer was canceled, and looks like we're going to be doing some shifting around to the next month one too.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I attended SACOG, the GRAPPA meeting, the Government Relations and Affairs portion, and we looked at final budgeting for the upcoming fiscal year. Also, some of the work plans that are coming out of SACOG, and then looking at some of the different frameworks that we're working on, as well as the draft transportation demand management strategic plan. That's a lot for how are we going to get it done, and when are we going to get it done down there. So following that meeting, I did have a meeting that included other elected officials from our local area, along with SACOG staff, regarding what may be leaking out into the public, and has been hinted at for some time, that the Fifth Street Bridge project is facing a 2-year delay. We are doing everything we can, and will do everything we can to forego any type of a delay in that project. And SACOG is committed to assisting these jurisdictions up here in the movement of some of the funding required. It's not the entire amount of funding. We're talking about a part of the state's funding source for this in years 1 and 2 of the construction project that total about $16 million, being able to move some federal money in to help as a kind of a stopgap so we can continue the process. We feel that this is a vital piece of our community. It gives us access over to the Ride Out Emergency Care Center, also ingress egress during emergency situations, and certainly what a lot of people don't understand is Marysville, the ring on Marysville's levees, the lowest point is at the Fifth Street Bridge. So in a high water event, the Fifth Street Bridge is actually, there's a cofferdam put into place, and the Fifth Street Bridge has to shut down during high water. And people don't understand that in this community. That bridge was built hastily after the 55 flood washout of the original bridge, and they didn't take into consideration this may happen again. So the new structure would be a 200-year, or meet all the 200-year flood protection measures, and also the height of the actual structure will meet that very same criteria. So we will continue to move that project forward. It will take a little bit of community input, I'm certain. It's going to take the elected officials also being aware of what's going on. I will be working on that as well as other SACOG members that are part of this area. That's Mary Jane Griego from Yuba County, Mayor Ricky Samioya from Marysville, and Dan Flores from Sutter County. So if you feel so compelled, you can speak with any of the four of us directly about that project itself. So we feel good about continuing to move this thing forward on a timely basis and not having a 2-year delay in it. Again, as was stated, the police memorial is tomorrow morning. Please, if you have an opportunity, come out to that. It's all of 30 minutes. It means a lot to the police officers. It means a lot to the families of the officers, and certainly, and not just those that have lost their lives all over the state, but also to our Beale airmen that will be there, as they all partake in this very same type of business, either on our own soil here or abroad. With that, I'm going to close tonight's meeting. I'll adjourn it in the memory of Mike Churkin. Mike is a farmer from the Meridian area. Mike kind of relocated here. This guy, I'm not going to go through his obituary tonight, but if you have an opportunity to want to read up on a piece of American history, read Mike Churkin's obituary in the Appeal Democrat. An incredible gentleman, and at the age of 84, he has passed from us, but has left a lot behind for us to remember him by. So with that, we'll adjourn tonight's meeting.